Hello, my name is Rene.Roberts and I'm currently your student's geometry teacher here at Creighton Middle School. I welcome you to open house. I am math teacher. Rene.Roberts at richland1.org is my email address. I am in room 401, so my extension is 3401. If you call the school, you're welcome to leave a voicemail. I graduated from Baylor University and I am married for 30 years. I have two children, both have graduated from college and moved into the workplace, yay, but one of them still lives at home with me. This is my 13th year here at Creighton and about my 20th year teaching for Richland 1. I have taught in the high schools and I've taught at adult ed and I taught some in the prison system and now at Creighton. So that's a little bit about me. This information is all available to you on the course requirements. You know that our grading scale weights have changed this year. We're 50% for summatives, tests and projects, 50% for formatives, which is homework classes, classwork quizzes. And so that's changed a little bit for this year. We do have a makeup policy here at Creighton that you're allowed at least the amount of time that you are out. So if your student misses school for an excused reason, then they will be allowed to make up a work. The redo policy stands for geometry as well. If your student scores below a 70 on a summative, then they will be either required or allowed to redo that test, and the cap on the grade would be a 70. They will be expected to do some review work ahead of time, but hopefully we won't be needing that information. Again, all that information is in the class materials folder in files and Teams. If you have a question about laptops, you can contact Ms. Arflin. Ms. Walker or anyone in the main office can help you with your PowerSchool access. 8th grade administrator is Mr. Esty, so he's in charge of our 8th grade and we meet with him weekly. The 8th grade guidance counselor is Dr. Alston, so if you need to have a parent conference, you can certainly contact the guidance office and speak with Dr. Alston. And if you have a question about textbooks, you can contact Mr. Cleckley. Extra help is available to all students every day. And with this virtual platform, we are available or expected to be available from 2 until 3:45 every day. Sometimes there are guidance meetings and the students won't come in until 2:30, but I'm always available each day until at least 3:45. Sometimes I stay later. I say until all the questions have been asked and answered. So my students, if you have a question, please come in there. If there's other people and you want to wait or come back, that's fine. I do check and reply to the emails in the morning time, 8:30 to 10. That is when I do not have meetings. We do have 8th grade team meetings every Tuesday, and we do have parent conferences scheduled for the mornings. And lunchtime, I also try to check and reply to my emails, but at the same time I'm doing that, I'm also replying to student chats, uploading class materials, planning, and making sure I have everything ready, grading, entering grades in the grade book. So it's a lot to do in a small amount of time. Technical difficulties. It did the same thing just a minute ago, but I'm going to keep going because this is what a good teacher does, is she takes what's given to her and she goes ahead with it. So we made it to this slide. There was another slide. Well, I guess that's the end. Ready to learn didn't get up there. So let's look at ready to learn. So students should come to class each day prepared to learn with something to write with, something to write on, and they should also have any homework ready for review. Students are going to be able to tell you what works best for them in terms of their classroom setup, and so please work with them to make sure that there are not very many distractions, that they're able to get their work done. Note cards are recommended for geometry students. I've been creating those in class as we go, and I'm encouraging students to do that. I am going to allow students to continue to use note cards on quizzes and tests. Now, I know I'm not monitoring them in the home, but that's something you're welcome to do. If they're taking a quiz or a test, they could have a stack of note cards that has definitions, postulates, theorems, diagrams, examples, and I am perfectly fine with that. There's a lot to remember in geometry, and having the note cards helps them keep up with that information. As the year progresses, they'll find they need fewer and fewer because they will have learned some of that information. Those monitoring students at home can help me by making sure that your students do not have a cell phone nearby them or access to video games or TVs during the class. We're having a lot of issues with students not paying attention to what we're doing in class. We have a very short window of time in order to pass on instructions, 40 minutes per class. So if you can help by making sure that they are separated from these items that are distractors, that would be very helpful, especially during tests or quizzes. And that way we can make sure that the students are being honest with what they're doing and they're working their hardest and they can be proud of what they produce. So any help you can give there would be helpful, beneficial. All right, so I'm just going to show you a couple of things that we use during the school year. So the first and foremost thing that your student needs to be able to access is Teams. Each class has a slide and has a slide and team. So if I click on any one of these, you should be able to see that we have posts. Most of the time, homework assignments will post here, and I post information that they need to know. They have a tab for files, and in the files tab, they have several folders. So they can go here and they can look under class materials. They can see some other things under class materials. You should have a folder for each topic and some other things. There's those course requirements I mentioned that has all the information about the rules for this particular class, the at-home instructions for logging in, and there's a copy of our standards. And I did go over each of these documents with your students at the beginning of the school. In addition to that, we have a list of assignments. I don't want to click on this because this is mine and I don't want you to see students. But over here we have several different channels. We have our RTI Wednesday meetings channels where students can chat with me. We also have our live team meeting channels. And one of the things I see is that sometimes in the live team meetings channels, it posts recordings. So if there's a recording, then the students can go back and look at that recording of that class session. I don't always record all the class sessions. One of the things we've found is that recordings cause the teams to mess up a little bit. But if a student's absent, I'm trying to make the attempt to record that lesson for that block so that student can go back and see what they've done. So Teams is the platform where most all the information is going to be passed on to them. In addition to Teams, you have your online textbook. And their online textbook comes in a couple of different ways. This would be the student e-text. This looks exactly like the textbook. So when they go to the e-text, they should be able to come to their table of contents, choose whatever we're working on, which currently is topic 1, and they can go in and they can choose what lesson we're working on. Today we did 1-6, which is deductive reasoning, and they should be able to come in here and look directly at the book and see the problems that we've worked through. In addition to the e-text, there's also an interactive version, and this interactive version works a little bit differently because it gives them an opportunity to input information. A lot of times when I assign information or I assign class pages, it's going to look more like this, where they're going to see places where within what they're doing, they have a place where they can actually type in answers. So if I'm giving them an assignment, it's going to look more like this, where they can actually go in and type their answers and then submit them. So assignments is at the top of the online textbook, and so at the top of theirs they should have browse and maybe classes, and then they should have assignments, so they can go into their classes and they can see what their assignments are, and they're all dated and they should be able to get those finished. The other resource we're using on a regular basis is Alex. Right now all students are enrolled in a review Alex course. It's a algebra readiness course, and most students are ready to be moved into geometry, so I'm going to start doing that once October gets here. Those students who have not reached 85% in the review course have got to reach 85%. So students need to be working diligently in Alex, probably about 15 to 20 minutes. That's a lot a day with being online a lot, but if they can work on it a little bit along the way, I would really appreciate it. There will occasionally be assignments in Alex. So that's basically what your student needs to be able to do. They need to be able to access Teams, they need to be able to access the online textbook, and they need to be able to access Alex. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to email me, and your students can chat directly with me. I hope I've covered everything that I was supposed to. I'm usually present here at school each day instead of working from home. I find that it helps me focus. And I'm looking forward to continuing to get to know your students and help them with their continuation of their high school education in this 10th grade geometry class. GoPro, stop recording.